Well, here you go. If you've ever wanted to see me play anything other than top tier, this video is for you. Today I'm going to be flying the 10.7 J7D. This is the rank 7 premium jet for China. It is an air-to-air fighter. There are no ground ordnance worth mentioning on this plane. So if you do decide to purchase this thing for the full amount, then just know what you're getting yourself into. The good thing is about this plane though, it is actually pretty good. Now, is it on the same level as the MiG-23 ML? No, probably not. It's just not as versatile, but the MiG-23 ML is just amazing for what it is. However, this thing does have one advantage over the ML, and that is that it sits one battle rating lower, and that is, like I said, 10.7. So two out of the 4 rotations you get down tiered in this thing, which is actually pretty amazing. So if you don't know what any of that means, is I'll put it up on screen here. It's that Sim has like a bit of a different like battle rating system. There's like set days for like certain battle ratings to have down tiers and stuff. It's a little bit weird, and 2 out of the 4 rotations this plane does get guaranteed a down tier, and that means that you can fly around in a MiG-21 airframe, which, by the way, in terms of engine power, you sit somewhere between the MiG-21 MF and the MiG-21 S in the Russian tree. So it's not the most, but it's kind of like a mid-gen MiG-21, I would say, from performance-wise. But what sets this thing apart though is its weaponry. You can get up to 4 PL7s or 4 PL5Bs, and the PL7s are basically the Magic 1 missile, which, I mean, Magic's pretty decent missiles and stuff like that. But the PL5Bs, the PL5 in general is just it's a really overlooked missile, just because not a lot of planes in this game sort of have it, and it is unique to the Chinese tech tree as far as I know. Now when it comes to the performance for the PL5, imagine something with the range of an AIM-9L but the speed of something like an R24. Like this thing, no joke, is actually ridiculous. The PL5B that you have on the J7D in this video does not get all aspect capability. However, the PL5C, which you get on something like the JH7A for instance, which was in my last video, that does get all aspect capability, but the one that you get on this plane does not, unfortunately. But then again, it is also 10.7, so it's not really that big of a deal. Now the footage that you're seeing in the background here is basically just the best bits, like the little dogfighty bits that I had on a game that I recorded a couple of days ago. I ended up getting quite a few kills, you'll see at the end, but this plane can dogfight, especially if it's only stuff like Phantoms and Mirage Freeze and stuff like that. You can definitely pull your weight. You are a MiG-21 at the end of the day. However, most of your kills are going to be just fragging people, like staying low, staying out of sight, and just shooting people that aren't looking at you. And the PL5 is really good at doing this just because of the range that they have, and the fact that the the motor burns out a lot quicker than the AIM-9L does as well. Now when it comes to avionics in this plane, first of all you get a HUD, which is unique to the J7D because it's the only MiG-21 as far as I know that actually gets a HUD. Well, unless you want to count the J7E, but you know what I mean. And the HUD is actually quite useful because it tells you what your infrared missile is actually locked onto. You can see like a little lockbox around the target, which can be kind of helpful if you're targeting something that's like flying into the sun or something like that. Sometimes you just want to know what your missile's actually looking at, right? And this plane does give you that. However, when it comes to stuff like the radar and the RWR, first of all, I just want to say the radar, just turn it off. There's no point in having the radar on at all. It's not very reliable. It doesn't pick aircraft up very reliably at all, and it also doesn't get IFF, meaning that it doesn't identify who's on your team and who isn't, right? So that's also an issue. The thing about this radar is if you turn it on and people have they're flying an aircraft with the good RWR, the good modernized RWR that tells you what's looking at you and stuff like that, as long as the range. The thing is with like RWR systems do not care if the radar waves that they're receiving get returned and interpreted as an enemy by the plane that's firing them off, right? They don't care. As long as they receive radar waves, they're gonna make noise and tell you the direction that they're coming from. And obviously if it's a modern RWR, they're going to tell you exactly like the range and the bearing and everything like that. So my advice really just keep the radar turned off, because if you have it on, you hear them talk about this in like war documentaries and stuff like that. It's like having a giant flashlight on just constantly on your plane, right? People are going to find you so much easier. Just trust me, turn the radar off, just keep it turned off. There's no point in having it on. Speaking of the RWR though, the RWR on this thing is pretty basic. You get the 4 quadrants, just like any other MiG-21. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it picks up pulse Doppler signals either. So you need to be careful. You're mainly flying this plane on a very visual basis, right? You got to look out, you got to check side to side, check above, check behind you, right? Because you can't rely on your avionics, you can't rely on your systems in order to track or pick up enemies for you. You need to do it yourself, which is also why I think it sort of benefits you to play this plane on, if you're looking to do air-to-air, obviously. It benefits you to play this plane on smaller maps, so stay away from Denmark, stay away from Afghanistan, stuff like that. Just stick to the little Tunisias, the Port Moresbys, the Sicilies. What else is there? Stalingrad and stuff like that. Those are the kind of maps that this plane kind of really shines at, right? You got to treat it a little bit like you're flying an F5, right? You wouldn't really take an F5 on something like Afghanistan, right? Because it's just not designed for that kind of combat. You want to be close quarters fighting, because that's going to give your missiles the best chance of actually reaching. You don't have any radar missiles or anything to play with, so. However, when it does come to within visual range fighting, or BFM, or dogfighting, whatever you want to call it, this is, at the end of the day, a MiG-21, so you're going to be able to do your 1 circles, you're going to be able to do your 2 circles, you're going to be able to do your verticals, your scissors, your rolling scissors, and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily excel in any one style of fighting over other planes in its bracket, but it does do everything pretty well, meaning that you can sort of adapt to every situation. You might not always have the best aircraft for every single situation, but you're always going to have a good aircraft for every situation, right? That's kind of like the thing that the MiG-21s are very good at doing in this game. They actually kind of remind me a little bit of the Bf-109s if you fly props and stuff. So I think it's a very noob-friendly plane in that sense. It's very forgiving. You can make mistakes in this thing. You can defensive fly in it. It's not a huge plane actually, so it's not a huge target or anything like a Phantom would be or whatever. It's just a good little, it's a fun little package. It's a fun little rocket that you can just fly around in, and you get 4 of some of the best missiles at this kind of battle rating. So, and it even gets something like 72 countermeasures, I think. So it's at a battle rating where there are planes that still have aimline Js and stuff like that, that's a pretty decent amount, especially for how maneuverable this plane is, right? I would say when it comes to dogfighting, the one disadvantage you may have in this thing is the cannon. It is the Gush 23, the really low velocity, weird angled cannon, because it's always mounted in the middle of the plane for some reason, and yeah, it's not a great gun. You can use it, you can get some kills with it, but it's not amazing, right? Obviously it's no Vulcan or anything like that. But if you've been paying attention to the footage here, you would have noticed that I currently have a 6 o'clock, and judging by the radar pings, my guess was it's probably a Phantom. Turns out I was right. I drop a few flares there because flares are so effective in this kind of battle rating. When there's no IRCCM to really play with, all you have to do is just really cut the burner, dump a few flares, and then that's generally it. Now there were more than one opponent here, which is why I'm kind of not really turning into him straight away. I was kind of trying to stay somewhat nose hot on all of the targets. I did just dodge 3 of his missiles there pretty easily with using the flares. He then pulls up into the worst position possible. I get a nice little missile shot there, but he does see it and ends up flaring it off. And obviously, if I can flare off his missiles very easily, it's only fair that he flares off mine really easily. So I end up following him here. I do hear someone fly past me, and that was the other jet there, and I see him over there, but he's not facing me, so I decide, okay, screw it. I'm low on fuel. I've got the performance here. I'm just going to sort of keep him in front of me. Now, I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to sort of spiral climb, bleed me of energy, but because I'm in a MiG-21 or a J7, sorry, on low fuel, I can just kind of stand on my tail and keep him in my gun sight and just follow him up here, basically. This is also the beauty about just having an aircraft that can get inside your enemy's turn circle just so bloody easily, and that's that you can just kind of sit inside them and just rotate your nose around, right? You don't even need to fly the circle, you just need to turn your nose essentially, and that means that you can just follow them about at these incredibly low speeds and just kind of, they can't really do anything about it apart from sort of hope to go vertical and just sort of hope that you can't follow them up there, and then gravity will drag your nose back down. But obviously, like I said, if you can just stand on your tail, it's a bit of a tricky thing to do for the other guy. Now, I got a bit of speed back here. I'm confident I could sort of reel him in here. It would kind of help to maybe have the the Ace Crew mod or whatever on a plane like this, but it's not necessary. You don't need it. I do kind of end up pulling him into the gun sight here. Look how much I had to lead for that gunshot, by the way. And that's just the Gush 23 there, with the absolutely zero velocity that he has. I'm not sure what that was that just flew by me, because my mini player that I use for commentating here is very poor quality, so it's quite hard for me to see what's going on. I saw that though, and that was a missile that I just dodged there. Now, I didn't obviously see the missile, but I did flare it, and the reason I hit the flare button is because I can hear stuff. I could hear the missile approach, which I'm not sure if that is very realistic or not, but you know, I'll take it. It was the Sea Harrier. I end up firing a missile at him, and he just doesn't pay attention for whatever reason, and it obviously gets him. Now I have a Phantom on me, because I remember this part actually, and I think for whatever reason, because you can see I'm on flashing red fuel, I have like a minute left, and I really didn't want to die. So I decided to just sort of make my escape, and it actually turned out I don't know why, but he just lost interest, I guess, and just, you know, flew back or whatever like that. So I started to make my way back to base. I didn't think I was going to make it. I'm on 52 seconds of fuel here. But I actually did end up making it, and I managed to touch down on like 7 seconds of fuel, which I was quite proud of. And it was a nice, smooth, buttery landing, as always, of course. Anyway, final score was 24-2. Like I said, most of my kills were frags. I just took the, I think like the 3 most dogfighty clips I had, and I just put them in the video because I thought they were the most interesting to watch. Because let's be honest, like watching just, you know, like me sneak up on someone who isn't paying attention and just firing a missile at them isn't the most interesting thing to watch, right? But that is where most of your kills are going to come from. If you are thinking of buying this thing, I think for the full price, I don't think any plane in this game is worth the full amount that Gaijin ask for it. However, if if it's a sale like 50% off, I think it's definitely worth it, but it will be a while till they come around again. Yeah, look, if you're just looking for a fun premium plane, this is definitely one. If it's worth the price, that's just something that you're going to have to decide. Just real quick, if you are looking for a Discord server, then, you know, my one is obviously in the description. If you're looking for control setups and stuff like that, or just people to play with, we have that in our server, so we would love to have you if you're interested. And other than that, my next video will probably be on the J11, and yeah, I will hope to see you then. Cheers.